Let's talk about how to improvise over Flake by Jack Johnson. The main chord progression here is D minor to F to B flat to F, and that's for the verse, and that's the chord progression that I would solo over if I'm adding a jam section into this song. And that's because the chorus section has a lot more movement in the chords, and it's a little easier to jam over this. So it goes like this. And what that is it's in the key of F. So D minor is your relative minor to F. So it's in the key of F. D minor would be your 6, your F would be your 1, your B flat would be your 4, and then your F would be back to your 1 again. So at its most basic form, the F major or D minor pentatonic scale would be your go-to for this without knowing anything else. You can just go to that. You can go to any form of it, whichever form you like. I always like when you have this D minor chord, this shape right here is your A minor cage shape. This sits right on top of your form 4 of your pentatonic, whether you're thinking D minor pentatonic or F pentatonic. So it's right on top of your form 4. So you have your form 4 right here. And if you've worked on soloing with your cage system, it helps to know where these chords are all in relation to each other. So you could play this same chord progression right in this one spot. And if you're thinking about sticking in this spot, then you have your D minor right here. You have your F right here. This would be your C cage shape, F chord. You have your B flat right here, back to your F chord. You could play your B flat however you'd like here. You could play it as a triad. But you could do your chord progression like this. A lot of people aren't going to play their chord progression like that, but if you know how these chords relate to each other and how they sit on top of your scale, whether it's your pentatonic scale, your major scale, your minor scale, and you know how these chords all relate to each other in that one position, you can use it when you're soloing. So you're just kind of dancing around, whether you're thinking of triads or cage shapes. That's how you're going to target notes. And you don't have to use the cage system. You don't have to use triads. You can just use intervals within the scales. But whichever way you want to think of it, if you can start using the intervals within your scales, start targeting your cage shapes and know how they relate to your pentatonic scales, it's going to help out a ton. So it's going to help with all of this lead guitar playing that everybody loves so much. And you got your form 3 right here, which slides right back into your form 4. And you don't have to use this. I mean, you could move down and use your form 1. Whichever one you'd like to, but we're gonna stick right here for now. And just kind of give you an idea of targeting the chord tones while improvising over this. Because the more you target the chord tones, the more melodic you'll sound, the longer you can solo without people getting annoyed with you. It's a pro tip right there. basic idea is simple. It's really, you know, you have your notes that are sitting out of this, and the three biggest notes that are easy to remember is when you're in this scale form, you have this little triad here, and if you know triads, then you have this triad on your G, B, and high E string right here for your D minor chord, and it's just 5, 6, 7. And that makes a D minor triad right there. So attacking these notes down in the bottom over your D minor chord, that is how you kind of stay within the scale, and you also attack these notes. And this is your D right here on the 7th fret of your G string. So you have that, and then once you're on this F right here, which is on the 6th fret of your B string, that's your F. So that's also part of your D minor triad, but then it becomes part of your F triad, or your F C shape, or your F D shape. See, so that is your F right there on the 6th fret. So that is a very easy note to get to within this scale. And when you think about this in triads, you have this F right here. A half step down is what I was kind of messing with. So that's your major 7th. That's not in the chord, but it just kind of gives it another a cool little sound, I guess, to work off of. And then you're at your 5th right here on the G string at the 5th fret. That's your 5 of the chord. So that's within the chord as well. So a lot of the notes within this position are going to work over the F chord, right? Because when you're in a pentatonic scale, you got 5 notes, and 3 of them are directly from your chord. So you have that F chord. Well, then you get to this 4. This is not in your pentatonic scale, but when you're sitting here, your D is part of that B flat chord. So this 7th fret on your G string is part of this B flat chord. That would be your B flat triad right there on 6, 7, and 8 on your B, G, and D strings. So all I was kind of doing, and I wasn't really focusing on that B flat too much, but right here you're on the major 3rd of it, that D note on the 7th fret of your G string. And when you climb up in this scale to your D string, well, when you're on the 7th fret of that D string, you can just slide up a half step, and that's your B flat note. That's your 4. So that's not in a pentatonic scale, but if you know where these chords lie within the scale, you know that your 4 is right there. If you know your intervals, you know that you were on the 3 of your F, and a half step away from your 3 is always your 4. So once you have that, you can kind of dance around this. And then you just walk right down to your F. Which now you're in your form 3. But it's 4, 3, 2, 1. And then you can mess around with this. Because you're going back to your D minor chord after that F, right? So and that was the main idea, but you need to just kind of figure out where are your chords in relation to these pentatonic shapes, and you know, what chords am I playing over? What intervals are they within the scale? What scale degrees? And then let's find those intervals within the scale. And then all of this is difficult, but once you start mapping it out and working on it every day, it becomes like second nature to you, and you start knowing where you are all the time. It unlocks the fretboard, and you can do it down here too. So So you got this D minor shape. You got your D minor right there, where you got your F right here. And then you need your B flat. Well, your B flat's your 4, and your 4 now looks like this C shape. You got a B flat note right here. So and that was just following all the chords. You got your D minor. You got your F. Back to your B flat. Which this is your B flat note. On the 11th fret of your B string. And then you can just do the little 1, 2, 3 from your F, because your F is right here at the 10th fret of your G string. And then you're playing over chord tones. You're following the chords. You're sounding good. Chicks are digging it. You know, what else could you ask for? Instead of just flubbing around a pentatonic scale, you targeted some chord tones, and then you go back into the chorus. You know, you go back into the chorus for Flake. Everybody forgot you were playing Flake because you were soloing for so long. And then you go back into the chorus. Crowd goes crazy. And then, you know, things are going well. You're having fun. So let me know what you think. Let me know if there's any songs you want me to go over. My approach is very jam bandy. I'm big into Grateful Dead, Goose, bands like that. I love the melodic soloing ideas. So thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.